Welcome to a political talk show here on WRMN. That's WRMN 1410 on the AM dial and streaming live at WRMN1410.com. Don't forget, you can go to the YouTube side where you're probably watching this video right now. YouTube.com. You can find us at WRMN Radio. Find the live streams, and you will also find the consolidated election playlist where you can meet a lot of your a lot of the people that'll be on your ballot. And joining me now is Corey Dixon. Corey Dixon is a current member of the Elgin City Council and is running for re-election. He has been serving on the council since 2017 and has been an active member of the community with engagement, economic development, and public safety initiatives. Dixon has also been involved in affordable housing projects, diversity and inclusion efforts, and infrastructure improvements for Elgin. As a lifelong resident of Elgin, he has a background in public service and law enforcement. Thank you very much, Mr. Dixon, for coming in with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. And thank you for everyone that's tuning in and watching on YouTube and in the future, Facebook. Thank you, everyone.
That's it. It's so many different platforms that are out there as well. First off, I want to travel all the way back to 2017.
Yeah.
And why did you throw your hat into the ring even then? Was something going on in your life? Was there something in Elgin that was going on? Tell us the story about how you joined the city council.
Yeah, so it was, it was actually something that was not planned. I never really thought about running for office or getting into, local politics or politics at all. That was not something that I grew up being discussed at our kitchen table with my mom and dad. It was just like, I found that during college, I really enjoyed volunteering. And I was volunteering at a local Boys and Girls Club near my university. And I was a business major. And while I was doing that, I was like, let me start volunteering and getting something else on my resume outside of this degree. And so in volunteering, I just really loved the community of it all. And I thought I wanted to be a teacher for a little bit. And I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. But I really enjoyed the community of it all. So fast forward, this was, 2007. I graduated 2008. I was working for a bank, and the stock market crashed. The housing market crashed. And when that happened, it was terrible for, everybody around the country, a lot of people around the country. But for me in particular, I took that as an opportunity to go and, and discover this part of me that I had found, while I was in college.
And was that out of just necessity of just you saw the need and filled the need, or was there a higher calling?
There was there was a burning desire where I didn't know where it came from. So it's divine, for me. And I'm a man of faith. I'm a deacon at Second Baptist Church, and my family has been members there since the 70s. But for me, it was something I prayed for guidance and what I was going to do after college. And so like spiritually, I think I was given some direction. And then after volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club, I was like, this is it, And so long story short, when it came around to 2017 or really 2016, a few years before that, I had went through the a U46 African American and Hispanic Parent Leadership Institute, my wife and I. And then after that, I went through a leadership program at the Elgin Area Chamber of Commerce. And by that time, which was 2015, I figured that I wanted to run for office, but I didn't come from politics, didn't really know anybody in politics. But I figured that I probably should put together a team to start to kind of like figure out which office to run for. And I did. I put together, I think it was a fabulous team of people I still have with me today. And we kind of looked around, and I prayed about it, spoke with my wife about it, and, decided to run for Elgin City Council. And thank God, first time running, I was elected. So that was, that was quite a big deal for me.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's a good story of seeing a need, filling a need, and having the gumption to follow through. Because once you step into the public light, that's it. Everybody's looking at you under a microscope at that point.
Yeah, I'll tell you one of the triggers too. At the time that I decided to run, I was living downtown, and I was in one of the row homes right across the street from Festival Park.
Oh, okay.
And I saw so many homeless people walking around downtown. And that was a problem for me. I was a volunteer. I cared about my community. And I'm like, we can do better than this, And so that was kind of like one of the things, that kind of like spurred, like who is in control of this situation here? And so, that was a part of the evaluation process, and that landed on the city. I said, well, let me look into running for city council. So that was actually one of the things that spurred it. And that was like one of my platform issues when I ran. And when I did that, people were like, Corey, why are you talking about homeless people? Like, why are you talking about houselessness? And why are you talking about these things people don't care about? They want you to talk about, public safety and economic development only, and I was like, nah, but this is why I'm here. These are, I care about people. This is still to this day, like what I do on my 9 to 5. And it's, it's something that was just close to home, and I wanted to make my community better. So that's what I did.
What's one of your major accomplishments in your time as a city council member? What is something that you're really proud of that, yes, that's a thing that I spearheaded, and that was something that was really, I was really passionate about, and we got that done.
Yeah. I worked with Anna Lally, Chief Lally, in the Elgin Police Department on making some reform changes that were best for the community. And why I'm so happy about that is I worked with Toby Shaw on that, former council person. And, Toby and I, who's actually like my favorite council person of all time, and it's not because we agree on everything. We actually disagreed on a lot of things. But I think like the true testament of how you can really know if what you believe in is right or wrong is if you can have it tested and stand on it and be able to go forward. So I would test him and he would test me, and we would challenge each other. And it was just always so respectful, So, and working with him and working with EPD, we basically put together a task force that went over everything and made some corrective changes to make our community policing model better. And so I think that was I've done other things too. Like I've recruited businesses here. I recruited the Small Business Development Center here to our downtown to help with all of our businesses and people who want to be entrepreneurs. All of those things are great, but they were easier in comparison to working with individuals who may not see eye to eye with you, but you had to find common ground. And so that's like something I really pride myself on, is that I don't have to be right. I just want to do what's right for the people in this community. And I can work with whoever, whenever, to get that done, because I think I'm that kind of person.
And is that coming from your history of working with the community before you started to run?
Yeah.
Is that where you've kind of learned how to work with people that may not have similar processes to get something done, but you're all face the same direction, and you have the same goal. Now the map may be different, but the goal is at least there.
Well, honestly, where that came from, I was taught this from the time I was a child. One of my earliest childhood memories was I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and I was looking out the window watching some kids play outside. And I might have been grounded. I don't know what I did, right? But I wasn't outside. But anyways, I guess my mom saw me, watching these kids play outside. And, Elgin is a melting pot. We have everything here, right? We have Latino, we have Hispanic, we have people who are of Polish descent and Asian descent, and so it's just a true melting pot of like a little bit of everything. So I'm watching these kids play outside, and my mom comes up to me and she says, "Hey, Corey, you see those kids out there?" "Yeah, Ma, I see them." She says, "Well, I want you to know that none of those kids are better than you." And then I said, "Okay." And she said, "I also want you to know that you're not better than any of those kids." So in my mind, what was the seed that was planted was that we're all equal. and no one is better than anybody else. And you're certainly not better than anybody else. So while we're all here on this earth, like you need to treat people with decency and respect and not less than. And so that's the way that that's the way I've carried myself in my life. That's how I carry myself in my personal life with my friend group. You know, I have a little bit of everything, and that's the way I raise my children, my wife and I. And so that's really where that came from, is that I can find common ground with anybody, no matter, you know, what part of the country they're from, no matter like what their background experiences are. Like I treat people as humans, and I meet them wherever they're at.
That's a great way to look at it. Let's talk a little bit about this election here. What are some of the things that are still on the table that you want to accomplish? Stuff that you've started and you need this re-election to kind of finish.
Yeah, you know, this homelessness issue, you know, comes to mind as one of the most important issues. You know, I'm not happy that I was right about this issue all those years ago. And one of the things that I was saying then was like, if we don't correct this now, this is going to get worse and it's going to explode in our face. I was not expecting, you know, the encampment to catch on fire. Like who could have predicted that? But this was an issue that had been going on for decades before I came on council, and it's still happening, as we know, to this current day. So this whole homelessness issue is something that I want to see us, for lack of a better phrase, conquer. You know, ending it, eliminating it, you know, is always the goal, right? But you know, rationally, it's like, you know, you want to make sure that you're attacking the root cause and getting people off of the streets, you know, dealing with the addictions, the mental health issues, and everything else that comes with these two things. So homelessness is definitely one of those things. This lead pipe issue is another one of these things. I want to make sure that we just continue to throw as many funds towards the lead pipe issue as we possibly can. We also have the North Grove development that's going to be happening. I want to see that come through because for me, I see that as an extension of our downtown.
Okay. Do you see it kind of like an extension of Festival Park, or do you see it as maybe using it for something different than what Festival Park is already here? Or I don't want us to have competing interests in our downtown, you know, so I think that it needs to be something different. Okay. You know, it needs to be a meeting spot. You know, I would love to have some shopping down there, some restaurants down there, definitely some living spaces down there, some spaces open to the public too as well, some green space, not maybe the exact, you know, that we have going on at Festival Park. But yeah, you know, it's a great location. And I know that some people like, you know, once you go past Kimball, like that's not downtown anymore. So you know, I'm definitely of that ilk, and that's how it's been my entire life. Right. But I think that this gives us an opportunity to extend our downtown and to like reimagine what we want in our city. Now, as someone who lived downtown with his family for a long time, and have seen like the best of Elgin and then the worst of Elgin. When I look at our downtown, what it is now, it's vastly improved from what it was 5 years ago. Yeah, I mean, even the construction that's just down the road from here looks absolutely amazing. Yeah. Like you said, the community centers and the different business development that's just down the block from the station here.
Right.
What is the time frame on that one? When was most of that kind of conceived?
We're talking about over years.
Wow.
You know, when these kind of projects, you know, start happening, the public doesn't know this, you know, for the most part, I would say, but we're talking about 2-3 years of planning a lot of time before you even get something. In some projects, it may be 5 years, you know, 7 years before you actually make it happen.
There's a few elections in between that.
Yeah, it's a few elections. So that's why I'm running again, you know, because, you know, you got these projects going, you want to see these things through. But you also just want to, you want to make sure, you know, the people that are on city council, they have a fiduciary responsibility. We have a fiduciary responsibility to do what's fiscally right and responsible, you know, for the city, right? Financially, fiscally, you know, I'm very conservative. And, I want to make sure that we're using taxpayer dollars in things that really matter, and they're going to bring the absolute most value to the city. And so you got to have people there who are willing to ask tough questions and have hard conversations and be able to think critically and think long term about, if we do this, what is going to be the result or the action of that a year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now. And that's the terms in which you have to think about as someone on city council, because it's not immediate gratification. Some things you don't see come to fruition or happen the way that you envision, or that you envision as a council, for years and years and years. And so that has a lot of value in, having people that have been there who will, have seen projects from A to Z.
Yeah. And downtown is fantastic with the way that it is grown up, but there seems to be a split between east side, west side as well. I mean, not only is there a river, but there's also a big Randall Road in the middle of everything.
Right.
What are your plans, or what is your vision for some of that development that's not downtown, that's closer to that west side? That's over there. Are we knocking down more cornfields? Are we getting housing? Are we looking for more businesses? Or even then, are we looking for a place kind of like Festival Park here, but something that's closer on that side? What's your vision for that side of the city?
Well, first I just want to lay the groundwork for that. Elgin is huge.
Yeah.
And people don't really know how big it is until they're here. I had someone say to me the other day, they were like, how many people live in Elgin, Corey? About 20, 30,000? I said, what?
Maybe.
I'm like, 20 or 30,000? Yeah, maybe in a few neighborhoods, but in the city, no, we're strong. 115, 120,000 plus people in this city. So Elgin is huge, but a lot of Elgin is undeveloped, and that's the land that you're talking about on the far west side. So I live on the west side, on the other side of Randall Road now. And what I will tell you is that there's a large need for housing, right? You can't build enough housing, right? There's a large need for housing, so we definitely have to have some of that. I want to keep some green space out there too as well, because you just can't have it in your downtown or at your parks, because we don't have a major park like a wing park on that far west side, on the other side of Randall Road. So I would love for us to have a green space that is one of our bell parks, that we can champion for years to come, just like Loris Park. So between housing, keeping green space in the form of a nice park, and then I think we also have to have some businesses over there too, which we do kind of like off of Nestler and 20 in that area. That's a main road. But I think that we have to have the kinds of businesses in those areas as they continue to develop, because people still need to shop for groceries, they need to shop for toiletries and things of that nature. So it's not any one thing. You're just continuing to develop a healthy community and have things close enough to where people don't have to commute from the far west side all the way to the far east side to get something. You kind of people just want to be able to, walk out their door a lot of times and go a few blocks and get to something. So
that's great. We've only got about 5 minutes left. So what I want to do is talk
5 minutes.
It's so
What's
quick.
going on? Hold on. I think I was promised more time than this. What's going on, guys?
See, we're going.
Dean, you walked in. Don't get quiet on me now, Dean.
We're going back to the debate at that point.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I could only given you that 5 minutes or so last time with the debate. But let's talk about the how, because a lot of the biggest tool on how to get something done is that budget of where do we move the funds, how do we keep the income coming in, but not squeezing the taxpayers or squeezing the businesses in here. How do you balance the revenue that comes in from the city with the promises and really the responsibilities that the city has to come out, like you said, with the water or working with Chief Lally with the safety and everything else?
Right.
What is kind of your mantra or your principle to kind of keep you in that balance?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, number one, you got to realize that the city does very well financially. Like we are rocking and rolling when it comes to our finance. I wish we had more, but for the things that we're responsible for, we take care of, and we're really efficient with it. And so we don't have a lot of fat either. You know, it's very minimal. You know, our number one expense is people, you know, and you got to have good people working in all over the city in order to have the kind of city that we have. So our city staff does an excellent job. The city services for the city of Elgin are excellent too as well. So when it comes to these initiatives, we plan these things out so far in advance that in no one year is it a burden to try to have to do this thing, right? So we don't say, okay, we want to, you know, partner in, you know, and do this development, and so we're going to put all the money into the pot this year. No, it's a slow draw. It's okay. This is our 5-year plan. We're going to set aside X amount of dollars. We're going to vet these contractors. We're going to make sure that we get the best deals to do what we need to do. And so that's our balance. It's not like we have a windfall of money. I mean, we used to get $30 million from the Grand Victoria, right? We don't get that anymore. Now we get about 10 million, and it's less than that now. You know, it's not even 10 million, I don't believe. But that money that we do receive, we use for capital improvements. So, you know, between using those funds for projects, you know, and also to grant funds, you know, we've received a lot of those too, as well. And so we just dig money out of different pots and try not to burden the taxpayers, and which is why, like, we've held the levy for so long. Like, nobody wants to raise taxes. I don't want to ever have to raise anybody's taxes. I also don't want to have what I call negative taxes, right? So that's like an increase on gas tax, an increase on sales tax, and like those type of things negatively affect everyday working people. And that's what you don't want to do. And that's what we've pretty much have been able to do as a city, which is why we're doing so well financially. But to just answer your question directly, like, it's a slow draw. You get money from different pots. You do that without having to raise taxes because you plan so well and so far in advance that you get the absolute best rates if you have to go and borrow money when it comes to bonds and things of that nature.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for coming on. We really appreciate it. What is your final message for a voter that's going in? They see your name there on the ballot. What should they have in their head when they see you right there on the first?
Well, one I want to point out is that when you go to the voting booth, I am the last person that you can pick from, right? So you have to go to page 2. So I just want to point that out for everybody, right? So go to page 2. That was a draw,
I think. Was
I know, right? Out. So I'm on page 2. So Corey Dixon, you know, you shop there. But what I want people to take with them as they think about who they're going to vote for, and, you know, number one, I would like to be one of the 4 people that you vote for. Listen, I love this community. You know, I care about this community. I choose to raise my kids in this community. I want to see this community grow and prosper. I want to make sure that financially we continue to be fiscally strong and responsible. I want to make sure that we continue to provide the best services around our city possible. I want to make sure that we alleviate this lead pipe issue. I want to make sure that we alleviate this homelessness and houselessness issue that we have. I want to make sure that we have more housing into more developments as we continue to grow as a city. I want to make sure that we continue to do that responsibly. And so, you know, my vision for this city is I believe that we're the best city in the entire state, and that's Chicago included in that. We have so much to offer. We have so much to give. And I think I'm, you know, one of the champions of saying how wonderful we are. And I want to continue to be able to do that and show, this community and, this state how great Elgin is.
That's fantastic. Thank you, City Councilman Corey Dixon, for joining us today. If you want to learn more information about Mr. Dixon, go to CoreyDixonElgin.com. He is also on Facebook and Twitter at Corey Dixon Elgin. Thank you again for being here.
Corey Dixon for Elgin.
For Elgin.
Got Elgin. FOR.
We'll get you on that side. You're welcome in anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
Vote and everyone.
Vote Dixon is what he said there. I'm sorry I had to cut you off for a second. That's okay. Thank you very much for being here, listener, for being educated on your ballot. That's what we try to do here at WRMN. You can find the rest of the playlist for the consolidated election on our YouTube channel. You'll be listening for some more apolitical talk show after this.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go.